It seems that the popularity of note-taking tools has diminished in recent years. Part of this makes sense. These tools peaked during 2021 and 2022 as a result of the increase of free time and the novelty of apps like Obsidian. It was even around this time that I began my own YouTube channel, and while I'm better off in terms of the channel now than I was then, there was a lot more excitement in the air about something like an offline equivalent to Notion. I would argue that this downturn in interest is not due to time or novelty, but primarily to one tool which, for a few years, ruled the scene of productivity tools. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. Notion. Now, to understand why Notion played such a pivotal role, it's important to understand its background. Notion was originally begun as a tool to help build web pages and web apps, not the most glamorous beginning. After a year or two of this, Ivan Zhao, the creator, decided to rework Notion from the ground up. He moved to Japan, started at ground zero, and produced an early version of Notion which caught on very well. In 2016, when Notion 1.0 released, it took the #1 spot on Product Hunt for the day, week, and month. Notion would go on to repeat this feat in 2018 when Notion 2.0 dropped. At this point, Notion was beginning to look more and more like the tool that we know today. They broke the 1 million user count in 2019. From this point onwards, we will need to get into more detail. Notion has a published list of its changes going back to 2020, and reviewing these will be crucial to understand what went down. For a while, these updates were straightforward. A better iPad app, inline math, backlinks, and a web clipper all came fairly quickly. Frankly, while making this video, I was surprised at how much development happened this late into Notion's lifespan. They were really trying to take advantage of the insane Notion hype of the 2021 to 2022 period, and believe me, there was a lot of hype. With a reputation like this, Notion could seemingly do no wrong. And with the team pushing out updates so quickly, it was only a matter of time before Notion's biggest weakness would be addressed: offline mode. Notion was incredibly popular with students who weren't always in a location with a reliable internet connection. Having the ability to access notes anytime, anywhere was a much requested feature. But as the months went by, Notion stayed quiet on the issue. In fact, on February 22nd of 2023, they pushed an update which wasn't offline mode, but it was much more telling than anybody at the time realized. Notion 2.21, Notion AI for everyone. Now, Notion had been working with AI since 2022, but it hadn't been widespread. It was in a private alpha, and since this was before the AI craze of 2023 and beyond, it wasn't paid much attention. But when Notion gave out the AI for free to everybody, it was the beginning of a deluge of features which the Notion fans hadn't asked for and wouldn't appreciate. We got projects with AI. We got Q&A with your AI. In January of 2024, we got Notion Calendar, a long-awaited disappointment of a feature. Notion had bought Cron a few years back, which was a fairly popular calendar application, which sparked a rumor that they were going to work on a full calendar implementation with Notion. But what was produced instead was a calendar app that could show certain Notion pages but had very limited functionality aside from that. It's better now, but when it was released, it was a huge letdown. The fans were curious, but for the most part uninterested. Where was the offline mode? June 18th, ChatGPT integration. Then September 25th, 2024, the new Notion AI. This little fella is still in the app today. From here on out, when we discuss AI in Notion, it's some form of this little circle that sits in the corner of your workspace and answers questions if you have a Notion membership. AI bros at this point were winning, students were losing. October 24th, Notion Mail. Much like Calendar, this was a baffling creation. On the surface, it was a Gmail client that had few organization features. Deeper down, the real appeal marketed was that your Notion AI could handle your mail. Again, an update was pushed for the subscribing AI users, not for the majority of the user base. The divide was deepening. For years, Notion had been serving beautiful 3-course meals to the tech bros while ignoring the one wish of the fan base. Each AI update was a further step in the wrong direction. Notion AI clearly wasn't going to operate offline. It seemed like Notion had forgotten that the demographic who had raised them to such cultural popularity only a few years before was the students, not the kind of people to be using AI or paying for a Plus membership. And herein was the dilemma. They needed to remain profitable, after all. Notion was a company. It's hard to keep serving features to users who don't generate revenue. So it seemed like it was over for the casual Notion fan. Then, in October 2024, it was announced at the Make with Notion event that offline mode was in the works. This was hype. The #1 requested feature would be coming soon. The wait took nearly a year, but in August of 2025, offline mode finally arrived, and it was everything we had dreamed of. Notion files were stored locally on your hard drive, letting you go seamlessly offline and keep working on your entire workspace. Actually, it was bad. Pages had to be manually marked for offline access, so if you forgot to save a page for offline, there was no way to get it back once you lost connection. If you subscribed, favorites and recent pages were auto-downloaded, but this wasn't the full access that anybody wanted. It felt like halfway solving the issue. Sure, we could work online, but not effectively. The rumor became that Notion wanted to keep your data in the cloud and not let it sit on your hard drive, and regardless of the validity of this statement, it circulated enough that online discourse was not favorable to offline mode. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, Notion 3.0 was released. Now remember, Notion 1.0 was the immensely popular first version of Notion back in 2016, and 2.0 was also huge when it came out in 2018. Going from version 2.53 to 3.0 was a significant sign. Whatever it was, Notion 3.0 was expected to rock the world of productivity apps. And it was more AI. Now, I don't want to start the whole AI debate in this video. If there's interest, I'd love to make a video on my philosophy with AI later, although I'm sure it's come through in this video that I don't have a high amount of respect for it. But regardless of your opinion on the tool, it should be observed that AI agents, or AI in general, targets a different demographic than that which used Notion religiously during the Golden Age. AI meeting notes benefit white-collar workers, not students. AI building you a page benefits somebody who doesn't want to do that work themselves, not somebody who loves customizing the look of their space. AI summaries benefit someone who doesn't want to reread their notes, which isn't somebody who wants to actually learn the content of the notes they took. In essence, Notion was targeting the workplace, not the student. And this does make sense. Again, to turn a profit, Notion needed to find somebody who wanted to pay for their product. Students and individuals aren't a terribly lucrative target audience. But it seemed like Notion didn't really have a strategy for making this shift. They were on top of the world in 2021, and they completely missed any capitalization of this popularity. By pushing things like Slack integration and AI tools, they neglected to push more customization options and a good offline mode. Notion still functions fine for individual use, although you do have to email the Notion team if you don't want their AI constantly bugging you. It's not that Notion somehow is worse in 2021, it's just that it hasn't undergone significant improvements for its core user base. It's now targeting businesses and companies, not ordinary people. Which leads us to the present day. Occasionally you'll spot Notion in a video on a personal curriculum or in life management, but rarely is it the focus of the conversation. Notion tours are out of style, and the Notion Reddit is full of people advertising their templates. The once bustling empire of Notion has been hollowed out. It's even affected other tools. Anytype, which is what I make videos for, partially rode the hype of being an alternative to Notion, and it has a solid user base now, but it hasn't really grown in its user growth. Obsidian, the primary challenger to Notion, recently implemented a Notion-esque table view, a development which would have been explosive during the Golden Age. Nowadays, these tools have a dedicated user base, but no grip on culture. Is there a way forward? Maybe, but I doubt it will happen. If I were Notion, I would move all AI features to a unique subscription that could be added on to any plan for, a couple dollars a month. I would move all short-term development focus to making Notion Calendar a top-tier tool, and then maybe look further down the line at Notion Mail. I would reorient company marketing to appeal to a wide swath of use cases rather than this focused Silicon Valley creator ecosystem. Maybe it wouldn't be enough to recapture excitement, but it would be a start. Somehow, a tool like Obsidian is profitable, despite the fact that it only has one possible subscription and it has next to no marketing. I think Notion can afford to take some risks. The decline of Notion has been slow and painful. It was once at the pinnacle of the internet and has now sunk into obscurity. If any lesson can be learned, it's this. No empire, no matter how mighty, can endure sustained poor strategy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. On this channel, I talk about productivity tools as well as technology and philosophy in general. So if that sounds interesting, stick around. We've got some more things coming soon. Other than that, thank you for stopping by, and I hope your day goes well. See you later.